think I'm mostly ready now. We're gonna do the thing. And I'm gonna do a little bit of a makeup for missing yesterday. By actually trying to make some progress tonight. I can't really promise that we will make any progress tonight, but I will definitely try. Because, we still have a kit bash to do, and I've done a little bit of thinking on it. And there is one big... Oh, wait, nope, that's the wrong one. Here's the correct one. Hey, everybody. Oh god, I also just now realized that, we are in fact not looking at correct things at the moment. Jesus. Give me one sec. I'm gonna have to fix what's going on here. Because, yeah, I wasn't honestly expecting to stream tonight. I have considered to cancel because I'm still feeling kind of like crap, but I think we can actually, you know, do the thing for now, at least. One sec. I need to load into my room. Because right now we're in the void of time and space, and that's not really where we're supposed to be right now, so... yeah. Here we are. Sorry. I know that we can't really see anything from the void of time and space, so I'm actually going to be wary of the fact that we were there for a moment. Alright, and now as we get started, I just want to make sure... Hold up. I just need to make sure that I'm in the right spot. Because otherwise I'm going to be tripping over it all night. Alright, there we go. I think we're good now. Okay. So. Yes. Now we're ready. Oh my goodness. It only took us 10 minutes to do this, but hi everybody. But yes, we're going to be continuing the kit bashing tonight. And I have a slightly unfortunate reality that I must contend with. And it's that essentially what I'm going to have to do just to make this work is I'm going to have to sculpt out everything in the Amazing Exia pipe. Everything from the Amazing Exia kit. Yeah, I'm going to have to, like, straight up sculpt that. Because if we go into the instructions, and I have been studying these instructions for almost, well, not almost, for an entire week. And the unfortunate reality is, I'm going to have to construct the entire leg, except for the top bit. So, I don't know if you can see it, but this was the conundrum that we ran into last time. So, you have to basically construct the leg like this. And as you can see, it does not lend itself well to, it does not lend itself well to just basic construction. So what's gonna have to happen is that I'm gonna have to basically build it out, but I'm gonna have to omit certain parts of the kit in order to actually make it so that I can put in the inserts for our core Gundam to be able to slot into. So while we get started on that, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some of the parts that are needed to make the adapters for the Amazing Exia. And we're just going to go from there, because my goodness, have I been staring at these instructions for almost a week, dreading what I'm going to have to do. And unfortunately, there really is no way around it. We're gonna have to do we're going to have to do the thing I don't want to do, which is I'm going to have to take some of the If you see here, these are the things that are going to eventually turn into the legs that will turn into armor for our Core Gundam. We're going to do the complicated part first. That being, I'm going to have to build out the legs first, and then I'm going to have to start stripping them, and I'm going to have to start working them so that we can actually, you know, fit them together. Therefore, allow me to actually get some of my stuff put in the correct positions. Alright. We're going to put those there, put that there. So yeah, I apologize for having missed yesterday. My mental health was not in the best place, so I had to just make the executive call that rather than try and force myself to stream when I'm trying to fight with my own head, I just decided, you know what, we should just call it. Like, I don't think y'all want to see... I don't think y'all would have wanted to see me, like, suffer, really. Like, me suffering in video games and trying to figure this kind of stuff out is fine, but... like, more real stuff, I don't think you guys want to see that, so... I just decided to make the executive decision and just not do the thing yesterday. Because otherwise I would have had to force it, and I don't think that would be good for anybody. Least of all you guys, because, yeah, I don't mental health well. So, here, we are going to just start taking all of the things out of the bags. And then I'm just going to have to do a trust the process moment. And I'm going to have to just start building, because otherwise this kit bash will never get done, and, you know, fortune favors the bold. Alright. Actually, let me make sure that the camera is getting a good angle on what's going on here. There we go. There we go. Because I've noticed that the last time I tried to do this, I was not showing a good part of the table. And y'all just kind of had to guess what I was doing at any given time, so we're going to try and avoid doing that this time. Especially since I'm bad at, like, making sure that my camera is always facing at the correct spot. So, I'm going to go ahead and get the instructions in here. I'm going to go ahead... oh god, my Melander is blocking the way. While we were... so off-stream, what I did was I actually just equipped the Melander with some extra Armored Core parts that I had lying around. And, yeah. I ended up in a situation where all was good. Yay! I just now also realized that my chat's a little bit difficult to read. Hold up. I think I may also change where you guys are. And change where the sound alerts are for this one. Because, sound alerts can happen over here. And you guys can be... you guys could be right here, just over my horrible mug. Why not? You guys can hang out, like, right there. That's how we do. Sup, Jason? Welcome in. How you doing, broski? Yeah. How you been, man? I'm just gonna go for the kit bash. I'm gonna do my absolute best. I don't know if it's gonna work out, but we're just gonna make it work. Got Cyberpunk tomorrow? Yeah. You do that. Do the thing, man. Okay, yeah. So this is going to have to be an incredibly modified build. Alright. Well... Okay. Yeah, I should just begin immediately. And the most complicated part of this build, like I said, is going to be the legs, because I don't actually need these legs to move. They will move very well as armor for the armor of my core Gundam. So, let's go ahead and just start nipping and seeing where we end up. Now I need G13 and 14. I'm not going to use the C26 because we're not building the full leg. Alright. Shoot. That moment when I need a runner stand, my goodness. Having a runner stand would be incredible right now, but I unfortunately do not possess one. Which ones was it again? It was 13, 14. Okay. So, we must clip 13 and 14. There we go. We'll put that off to the side for one of the legs. And we will go ahead and put these guys for the other side of the legs. Now, one thing that I'm worried about having to do is, and I'm just gonna show what I mean like right now. These leg adapters here are very long, so I'm gonna have to probably cut down like right here so that they will fit in here somewhere. The problem is these are round. So I'm gonna have to somehow trim this down while maintaining as much structural integrity as possible so I can put in the modified brackets here in order to, you know, make it so that this is armor for my core Gundam. Until I can figure that out, though, I'm just going to have to do a little bit of a personalized study on how this is going to fit. And unfortunately, that means I'm going to have to, up until a certain point, straight assemble this, just so I can see how everything fits together. And so I can make the judgment call when it comes. And I will say this is one reason why I absolutely love Gundam Breaker 4, is that it lets you plan out your gunpla a little bit beforehand. Not that I actually used it that way for this, it's just that I like putting the gunpla together in the game first, and then trying to suss it out later. But that's not how this is going to work tonight. How this is going to work is me trying to figure out exactly what needs to be cut, what needs to be glued together, what needs to be, you know, handled correctly. And already I'm starting to see something worrying, because what needs to happen apparently is that... Oh dear, okay. Yeah, I'm starting to see a problem almost right away. Because the way that this is put together, like that, and I don't know if you can see it. Oh god, hang on. Oh god, hang on. I almost clicked these in here in a way that isn't gonna work. So let me just separate them again. I wish I had a plastic parts separator. I could probably just make my own from some of the tabs that I throw out, but yeah. if you notice already, the problem is that this is not all of this is just going to be one part. And I needed this hollowed out a little bit so that it can, support the upper bracket. Shoot. Okay, I'm just going to assemble it a little bit, and then I'm going to try and do something that may work, may not work, but I just need to see where this thing will be once I have them lined up the way that I need them to be lined up. Okay. So, first problem. I'm going to need to cut this bit out right here. Like right here. This needs to go in order for it to sit comfortably, like right there. But this is actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I think what I need to do is take a quick look at Mars 4 so I can kind of get a sense. I think actually looking at the instructions for the Mars 4 unit will be better, because I need to see how the armor clicks and how much of it actually covers. Okay, so actually we're kind of okay. If I'm being completely honest with you, I think we're kind of alright. Because I thought that covering up the, like this section right here is going to be a problem. Turns out it's not going to be a problem at all, because in the Mars 4 unit, these bits are actually still exposed, so I'm not as worried as I was before. So that means what I can do then is actually cut these tabs out here, cut this bit out here so that it's a little bit, so that it'll sit a little bit more flush and more like naturally. And then what I do is modify the, Christ alive, hang on, sorry. Modify these so that they're shorter, but they still fit, like, mostly flush with this. Cool. We now have a more definitive plan, and I think I've made this more complicated in my head than I needed it to be. So let's go ahead and start scribing, because I'm going to need to separate this out again in order to get started with the actual modifications. So we're going to have to... I don't actually care if I scuff this bit up. It's going to get chopped to pieces here in a moment, but all I need to do is just sort of push all the parts apart and pseudo keep them together. There we go. Popped it out. Now I need to be careful with this one, because this one has the drum in it. And I don't want that thing breaking on me. Come on. There we go. Got it. I was getting a little worried for a sec that it wouldn't go, but it went. And now I can actually do some trimming, because the bits that need to get removed are this one, and these. And I'll go ahead and clean them up so that it actually looks kind of alright when we go and reattach. So It's time to get in there and actually get these pieces nice and cleaned up. But yeah. For anyone joining, I have not actually rested up properly in the last few days, and it's kind of affected my mental health a little bit. I've been having to kind of always be on lately, and it was really starting to mess with my head at a certain point. And so yesterday I was just like, you know, I need to kind of tune out and not do anything, as like stupid as that sounds. So right now I'm doing a little better, and I'm able to actually do the thing without actually worrying my little cyber brain about what's going on with me. At least mostly, you know? I still worry about things, and I'm still going to be fretting over like the overall quality of everything I do, but today at least the world was a lot less heavy, so I am happy about that. And okay, good. Now I'm just going to go ahead and test again. Okay, cool. Now all I need to do is fit it so that the top part of the core unit, or not the core unit, what am I talking about? Good lord. Of the leg unit actually fits up there, so we're going to go ahead and chop these out now. Because if I looked at the... Boy, make sure you're lurking someone like Udon to get new limited paint jobs. Your Stellaris is one of them now. Oh, hey, Rep, what's up, dude? I should. I just should, man. I should. You're right. How you doing tonight, Rep? How's it going, broski? I'm just building Gunpla right now, just trying to figure my stuff out. Udon is one of them, by the way. Alright, alright. Let's see. Okay. So this is one of those ones where I have to make sure it faces forward. That's going to be easy enough to pull off, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and try it. Yeah, I will have to do that. Going well, actually playing with Udon at the moment. He was streaming Baldur's Gate 3 earlier with Cat and Scoots. Dang, okay. Hell yeah, bro. That's awesome. I wish I could have got it, but I was at work. I'm sorry. I've been kind of bad. I've been kind of bad lately about just keeping up. And I wish I was a little better at it. Okay, let's see. I'm going to score it right there for now. Let's see. Score right there. And then I'm just going to cut a little bit higher. And I just need to be very intentional about the next few cuts that I do, just to make sure I get this absolutely right. Because I need it to be flush. I don't need it to be... I don't need it to be like... Oh. I'm really far away. There we go. Sorry, I think I leaned in a little too far and it freaked out my camera. But, yeah, I've been meaning to try and be a little bit better about checking in with everybody and all that. Things have been a little bit rough, but just trying to figure things out and making sure that when I do show up, I can show up, like, kind of at my best a little bit. Maybe I'm dumb for thinking that way, but who knows. Alright, let's see. Shoot, I'm noticing something else now. This is too wide. This thing is starting to become a plethora of problems, let me tell you. My model's going ballistic right now. Holy crap. Alright, so I kind of needed to sit a little further down, and I think the solution here is I need to cut this, like, shelf. I don't know if you could see it, but there's kind of like this little shelf here where it's a bit difficult for it to actually sit inside of this housing that I'm making right now. And also, there's one thing that I did want to do. While there is a Reptimus in here. Hold up. Let's see. I really want to shout this man out because dude is awesome. He's always really cool and fun to watch. If you haven't started following this guy, please do so immediately. He's awesome. This dude is so dope. Yeah. Yeah. Mental health has kind of been in the toilet lately, and I haven't been able to properly rest. I'm trying to be a little bit better at being more present on Twitch, but right now real life has me kicked a little bit. So I'm trying to, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm just making excuses now. But, yeah. Yeah. I'm also bad at emotions, so I'm not going to try and articulate them while I'm trying to build plastic robots. At any rate, I'm going to have to give Udon a lurk at some point to start doing the new paint schemes. Because right now I know that they've got the new rollouts going, so I'm gonna have to. It's gonna have to be a thing I do. Shoot. I think I actually made a mistake. But I think it's a mistake I can fix, if I'm careful. Alright. Go in and down. And then in, down, in and down. Okay, I'm hoping that this actually made enough of a shelf that I can set it flush, if I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to certainly try. Maybe? I hope so. If it works, it works. If it don't, then I'm gonna have to try something else. And it actually kind of works. Awesome. Okay. Okay. I think I'm cooking now. The only bad thing is that I'm gonna have to use Plastaweld, and I'm actually gonna break out something else that I like to use when something doesn't sit quite the way I want it to. And I think this is now the time where I break out the putty. Now, sometimes the lean is crazy. Ugh. Sometimes when I do modeling, I like to use this. This is Milliput. It is a two-part epoxy that we'll use for modeling. And so, basically, if you've ever used green stuff, it's kind of like that, except it's better. The only problem is, using this is kind of a pain in the tuchus. Because this stuff wants to harden and mix as fast as humanly possible. And if you get it wet, it'll set faster. So, generally speaking, I only try and use this stuff if there is literally no other choice available to me. And if there is literally no other, like, I don't want to say option to, because there's always an option not to use the Milliput. But this stuff can be very finicky, and it can be very, very stupid. Like green stuff. The good thing about it is, though, is that I can sculpt it into the shapes I need. And the less I need to use Plastaweld, the better. So, let's see, I'm just going to go ahead and take... That might be a bit too big for what our purposes are for right now, but I'm just going to go with it. And we're going to have to close this up real good because this stuff also has a tendency to dry out if you don't use it up right away. So that's what we're going to have to do, is just be very careful about the amount we're using, as much as we are using... is that about the same amount? I don't know, but I'm going to say it is. I'm going to say it is and just call it what it is, and that's just it. Alright. I'm very articulate tonight, can you tell? Just last couple of days in bad mental health and all that crap. I'm very eloquent at the moment. Alright, and actually, I might actually go gloves off for mixing this. Because these gloves will actually stick to it, and bare hands won't. I will be putting the gloves back on after I get this mixed up, though. Just because the heat from your hands can actually make it a little easier to sculpt. Alright, let's see. Once it turns turquoise blue, that's how we know we've accomplished the mission. Yeah. And like I said, sometimes the heat from your hands actually makes it go a little bit quicker, so... all I need this to do right now is to form a sort of, like... how do I put this? It's basically going to act like a spacer for the piece that we just made, so that it can sit more comfortably inside of the groove that I made. Yeah. That's how we do. And like I was saying, once I actually have this made, one thing I'm probably gonna do, just to make sure that it cures correctly, is that once I have my little block sitting where it needs to be, I'm gonna have to try my damnedest Not only to make sure that it sits flush, but that I sculpt it out so that it doesn't pop out when I'm trying to do a, when I'm actually trying to, Jesus Christ, what am I trying to say even right now? For frick's sake. Alright. I'm just gonna stop trying to explain this because I'm doing it poorly. My goodness. Welcome back from Agile, everybody. You missed literally nothing. You missed me being an inarticulate doofus. Okay, gloves are going back on now because, frankly, I don't want to contaminate the Gunpla with sticky fingers. Alright, now then, I only need a little bit, but now I'm going to squish... Oh wait, even less than this, actually. I made too much. Frick. See, this is what happens when I don't pay attention to how much I should actually be making, and I end up making too much. Wow. It's fantastic, ain't it? It's honestly just because I'm dumb sometimes. Alright, so I just need to make sure to sculpt in there a little bit. And then what needs to happen is I need to make sure that this actually flares out a little bit. I just need to line it up a little bit more. And then we press it inside, like so. Okay. And I actually need it to go in just a touch more. Not much, just a touch. There we go. Fantastic. And if I get some milliput everywhere else, that's kind of okay. Not really, but I just need it to get into the gaps so that this thing sits more flush than it currently is. I also need to make sure that it's lined up correctly, otherwise it's going to look stupid if I don't. I'm very much a stickler about this kind of thing when it comes to how I model, so I'm trying to make sure also that what we got going on back here is... Alright, there we go. Alright, uno momento, because I also need to clean up behind the leg and knee. No, I messed it up. Oh no. Okay, I think I've salvaged it and fixed it a little bit. Neat. Because the other thing that's going to need to happen is... Oh no, I'm kind of phasing in and out of existence right now. This is weird. It's okay, I'm getting drawn back into Kingdom Hearts while this is happening. Alright. It's sitting a little bit more flush now, so that means if I attach right here... Alright, cool. But it also means I need to take off some of this stuff in here, because I only need a section of milliput. I do not need this bit down here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it. But in general, this is how I like to use milliput when I'm doing my Gunpla builds, is just as a secondary medium in order to attach parts that otherwise wouldn't fit. I try not to use milliput if I can avoid it, just because cleaning it up afterwards is kind of a chore, but it works out pretty well when you've literally got no other options available. And in this case, we do not have much options available. Let's see. I also like to sculpt it a little more when it's soft, just because when it is soft, it's actually a lot easier to work with than when it hardens and cures. So we have the first one done. Or I shouldn't say that it's done just yet. But we have the first one readying to cure, I suppose. Hold on. Sorry, I was just making sure that it was all in the right spot. But I think we're good now. And then what I'm going to do now is apply Plastaweld to the sides here to make sure that it sits so that it stays sat in the little housing that we just made. I'm also just making sure that it's lined up correctly, because if it's not, then we're going to end up with a derpy looking leg that doesn't really match anything. And honestly, I want to make sure that everything sits just well enough. Sorry if that was a bit loud into the mic. I just had to get rid of a little bit of extra flash in there. All right. ちょっと待ってください as I line up. It looks good enough, so my both least and most favorite part of this process, because I also need to make sure I don't use too much Plastaweld, otherwise I'm going to mar the surface and then I'll have to fix it later, which I really don't want to do. Alright, here we go. Please stick, my dude. Okay. I should be using, and to be clear, I should also be using the other Plastaweld right now, because we're working with a part that isn't two similar types of plastic right now. This should hold, but it might be a bit sketchy on as to how well it holds. So let's see, we now got this, and we know it will go in, so once in, it'll sit kind of like that. Alright, cool. Okay. So the leg, I think, is now going to be a success. I just need to be careful with it now, because we have to do the same thing again to the other side. Now that we know that one side is going to work now. Alright. And actually what I should be doing, if I'm smart, is I would be changing gloves right now. Because these are now contaminated with milliput. But this is one of those instances where I'm willing to do the cleanup later. As long as we get the general gist of what we want done. Done. Okay. So, got that one, got that one. Ooh, that one hit my glasses. Because my optical sensors need glasses from time to time. Let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and clean this out a wee little bit. And alright. Blah. I really don't know why I'm trying so hard to get that Why? Okay, so I was really tripping on one bit that was going on there, and I probably shouldn't have been. That's just the nature of how I do things, though, is just half of it is flying by the seat of my pants, and the other part of it is just blind determination. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and get this other leg bit out of here. Do a quick strip down and cleanup of it. Awesome. Now, we will have lost some articulation in this leg, but frankly, I don't care. Because it's going to serve a bigger purpose in life. And in Gunpla too, but you know what I mean. I'm kind of just talking doofus now. Alright. Now I must do the exact same process that I did to the other side. Alright, break that down. I'm just gonna have this blurb of Milliput just hanging out here now. Alright. First, we must trim that. Now I'm gonna trim that. There we go. And now I need to trim down until we get to that shelf again. And hopefully not damage it too much in the process. So I can honestly say, so far, this build is complicated, but it's not impossible anymore. I just had to sit on it for a bit and figure out what I was going to do. Right, trim up. Alright, Jesus frick. I have to be really careful with these nippers, otherwise I'm gonna break them one day. Won't that be quite the day? I do eventually want to... Oh, frick. Well, I just did something really dumb. I'm hoping I can salvage it. Because I just clipped part of the shelf I need to... Oh, okay, I couldn't salvage it. That's infuriating. Okay. So this is what happens when you get a little bit too reckless with your kit bashing. Is that you'll accidentally remove something that you needed. So now lining up the second leg is going to be a bit harder, and I'm going to need to do a little bit more sculpting just to make sure that it actually works. Otherwise, we're going to be left with a leg that is barely hanging on for dear life and will not actively stay flush. Oh, that's infuriating. Okay. That's really infuriating. But I think I can salvage it, sort of. It's just gonna have to be a little bit off-put. And I'm gonna have to be real intentional about where I stick this thing now. Oh, good lord. What a stupid way to... What a stupid way to almost ruin my own project. Good lord. Alright. Once again, Milliput. Don't need that much, but I will take it anyway. And in we go. Alright, push it in as much as I can. And then we are gonna have to try. Okay. I'm gonna really have to be careful with how I mount this next one. Because not only is it going to be offset, but it's also gonna be... Oh, Jesus. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. Because not only did I cut this incorrectly, so now it's offset. I also don't think I added enough... I don't think I took off enough material. Oh no, I took off enough material. Okay, I was just in the wrong spot. Okay. Hold on. I just need to look at it for comparison's sake. Alright, no. Okay, we're almost in the right spot. I just need to nudge it up just a touch. Make sure that it's aligned. Dear God. How did I do this? Yeah, when I said that this was going to be okay, I think I was just getting a little bit too overconfident, but... Oh, Jesus. Jesus frick. Yeah, okay. I think we're mostly alright now. I do have to drop just a touch more Milliput towards the front to reinforce it, but... Other than that, I think it's gonna be okay. I just need to be super careful about where I end up with this right now. Alright. I'm actually going to move some of the Milliput up so I can bolster the leg a little better. Okay. That's so unfortunate that I cut off that bracket. Or not, it's not a bracket, it's a shelf. But it still sucks that I cut that off. I needed that to line it up easier. Let's see, now I need to remove a section again, just like I did down there. How far up did I go? Okay, I went up a little bit past the, I went up a little bit past where the last bit was. Jesus Christ. I am not articulate tonight, man. And I made a very critical mistake. God. Alright. Well then. I'm gonna have to just trust the process, I think, at this point. Let's see. Make sure that this stays, and then I'm gonna have to get a little bit of water just so that I can cure this a bit faster. Because doing a wash with Milliput will actually make it cure quicker. The only problem is I need to make sure, absolutely, that I approximately got them lined up the way I wanted. Alright. No, here we go. We plasta-weld the remaining shelf on there. We can't really do it to this side because your boy's an idiot. He cut the shelf off. But that's just how it works now. Christ alive. Alright. Well then. Next, I need to build out the rest of the leg. And I think I can do that without ruining the progress that we already made. So, what needs to happen now? Okay. Okay, I see what needs to happen now. Now I need to use E10 and E11. Let's see, where are they? That's G. I think the E's are over here. Yeah, there it is. There we go. That's all I needed to do is just look at a completely different section. So E10 and so actually wait. You know what? Let's just go for it. Let's see, 9 and 12 need to be paired up, so we'll go ahead and pair them up. 9 and 12. And 10, 11. 10, 11. There we go. Now what else do I need? I need part number 13, evidently. I think that's just gonna have to come from... where is it? No, that's not it. Is it? I don't think that's it. Is it one of the polycaps? Wait. Oh no, that's from step number 13. I'm dumb. I'm very dumb. Okay. C15 and PCF. Okay. That's what it needs to be. Jesus Christ. I'm an idiot. Alright, here we go. We are now cooking. And we're cooking with plastic. And I promise, once this kit bash is done, it'll look dope. Until that time, we're going to be kind of in a situation where it looks kind of okay. And I'm probably going to be fretting over every little detail, but... you know, that's just bog standard where we're at right now. Where I'm going to agonize over all the little details. And we're going to eventually end up with something that's good looking, hopefully. Alright, here we go. Gonna do some snipping. And I wonder right now, actually, if I set my tags correctly. Oh, frick. Those are things that I should have checked earlier, but didn't. So I'm gonna very quickly, after I get these snipped out, check and see if I actually set my stuff. Alright. I'm gonna quickly check and make sure I set my things correctly. If I didn't, then I'm a clown. I'm a big dummy doofus. Alright, let's see. Did I set my tags? Okay, yeah, I did. Good. I just wanted to make sure I did before I ended up pulling a doofus. Alright. There we go. I just needed to make sure I set my stuff right. Anyway. Back to the build. Oh, I see. Okay, I need to make that one go in like that. Yeah, there we go. You gotta fit it right. Otherwise it doesn't work. Okay. I love how also right now we just have this random blob of milliput just hanging out here on the table because I made too much, but who knows? Maybe it will actually come in handy when we get to the other components. Alright. So I also don't really know if I'm gonna paint this, but if I do, I wonder what I should paint it. Right now I'm just worried about getting it done. But I wonder what I could paint it if I could. Oh wait, now I should actually flip the page back over so I know what I'm doing. 12 and 9. Okay. So this needs to fit right there. Oh. I think I crashed. No. God dang it. It's either I crashed or my restream is lagging. I can't tell. Hang on. Okay, my restream... It was just my restream lagging. There we go. Oh, crime of Netley's, what is wrong with me? There we go. Fantastic. We have a leg built. And the best part is that this leg is going to be sly and fashionable as heck. Because it's going to look good. At least I hope it does. That's just one little robot's hope, though. That we look good and we stay slick. Alright. Click that in there like that. This part needs to be attached like this. And then... Cool. I think we're good now on the legs. I hope. I'm gonna be so real right now. I'm a little anxious, but... Yeah, I'm gonna be so real right now. I'm a little on the anxious side right now, but... I think we're doing okay. Let's see, F24 and G19. Okay. Mother. That's gonna be so weird. Alright. Know what I was doing with that? or why I was waving it around, but that's exactly what is occurring at the moment. I'm just gonna go and trust the process. I've been saying that all night. My goodness. Alright. Alright. 24. There it is. Cut. There we go. Now then. Oh, there's the upper section of the foot. There it is. Yeah, I'm also going to be doing the backpack because I think it'd be cool to do the full Amazing Exia over the Core Gundam. So we have Gunpla meeting with Gunpla, meeting with Gunpla, meeting with Gunpla. Because that's how we do at the end of the day. And let me tell you, when I first conceived of this build, I did not anticipate it to actually be this complicated, but I'm actually a little bit happy that it turned out this way. Because anytime I can actually challenge myself with a new build and actually try and make it good, makes me feel good about myself. Especially if it turns out okay. Let's see. Now... Anyway, where's the foot instructions? There they are. And it needs to be PCC in the G19s. Okay. PCCs in the G19s. That's quite a way of putting it, actually. My goodness. Alright. So, yeah. I have a lot of other different kit bash ideas in mind, but this one in particular is one that I've been wanting to do for a while. And I'm gonna be so real with you. Sitting on this idea for the last 2 years, just ruminating over how it would look and how to do it, when I was actively practicing with other kit bashes, was torturing the crap out of me. So now that I stream, I'm glad I can actually pull it off. And you know what? One thing I'm also going to do is I'm actually not going to put the toe cap on this, because I actually think having this shorter foot looks cooler. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim this off. So we're going to have ourselves a little bit of a shorter, like, sneakery looking foot almost. But it will look, but I think it looks cooler. Gonna be so real with you. I think it just looks cooler. And I'll probably end up sanding it down so that it's a little bit cleaner looking later, but that's for a later thing. That's when we're nearing the end of the project and we're actually getting ready to do final fitting and all that. Let's see now. I'm going to go back to the leg instructions, and what I need to do now is use G7 so that I may, in fact, have an ankle cap. There we go. There are so many other things that I would really like to revisit too. Like, some of my older kit bashes were really crude or done in a way that I'm not that satisfied with. So I think it'd be cool to, while I'm streaming, since I'm doing more Gunpla related stuff, to just, you know, go back, revisit my old projects, and try them again, and do them better. I don't know how well that will actually work out, but I do think that it will actually end up quite interesting and amusing to do. So that's a thing I'm considering. Another thing that I would like to do eventually, but this is only after I can get a good amount of money going and get a good amount of, like, I don't know, more streaming hours in, I suppose, to really build that kind of interest, is I'd like to actually do car restoration streams at one point. Because I'm going to be real with y'all, I love anything that has an engine in it, and I love anything that has, like, some real muscle behind it. So one of these days, if I can secure the funds to do it, I would very much like to do like a car rebuild stream. That'd be so sick. Yeah, let's see. Now I need the F25s and 23. Yeah, F25, F23. Because doing car rebuild would be super sick. Alright, here we go. Now we're actually making some good progress. Let's see, 25s. Right there. Fantastic. And was it 23 that I needed? Yeah, it was 23s that I needed. Fantastic. Completely unrelated, I actually did manage to spark interest in Battletech in my area. The problem is that it's all my coworkers from work who have no idea how to play Battletech, so I will need to instruct them in the ways. Teach them the old magic of Battletech and how the game may be played. It's going to be a thing that happens eventually for me in real life, because that would be pretty neat. I haven't played actual tabletop Battletech in a very long time. And just being able to do even small skirmishes and small-scale, like, battles will be really, really cool. So, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to doing some Battletech with the homies in real life. I have no idea how well it'll go, but I would be... Is that a Core Gundam? It is a Core Gundam. We are building custom Planets-style armor for it. Let's see, we are building custom Planets armor for it, where I'm converting the Amazing Exia into Planets armor. Just because I think it'd be dope looking. But in order to do that, I'm having to modify a lot of the Amazing Exia so that it will actually work correctly as so that it'll actually work correctly as parts. Hello. Kaze is laughing. Yeah, we like laughing in here. So yeah. I'm converting a lot of the Amazing Exia right now into armor for my Core Gundam. That is currently the Kit Bash. And let me just say that so far, constructing the legs was the most complicated part of the build so far. And it also required the use of quite a bit of putty. But we have the legs at a stage right now where I can actually, like, use them for Core Gundam now. The only difficult part now is finishing up the build in such a way where I can actually, you know, use it. But, yeah. I'm not going to try and do the fitting now, because I know my luck. These have not cured yet, but we are actually at a stage now where if I were to insert these, they will actually fit. And so now the amazing Exia legs have become armor for my Core Gundam. It's pretty neat. I've been working at this and thinking about this particular kit bash for a very long time. And, yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah, no, I'm not going to try and do the fitting now, because these parts are still very sensitive, and I need to let them cure. But, yeah, we're doing this. It's cool. So, let me see now. Well, we got the leg. Excuse me. While we got the legs curing, I'm going to go ahead and begin work on the arms. I'm not going to actually put the condenser units on here just yet, like the GN condensers, just because I don't want to risk anything like overbleeding together. Alright, sorry, I was just doing another look there to make sure that the pieces are lined up correctly. So we're going to set the legs aside now to cure. It's going to take a while. But after they're done curing, we will have us a pair of core-ready legs. And very much like the Plastaweld, it's going to need to cure for at least 3 to 4 hours. So either by the end of this stream or by like tomorrow, the Milliput will have settled as an epoxy, and we're going to have ourselves some good-looking legs. And then just to make sure, I'm also going to, probably off-camera, hit them with the other Plastaweld that I have, which is for non-like substances. But that's going to happen later. For now, we need to do the conversion on the arms to make sure that the arms will actually fit. And this one, I think, will be blessedly very simple. I say that, but I know it's not. It's probably not gonna be. Alright, let's see now. How am I gonna do this? Alright. Watch. I said the legs were gonna be complicated. I'm willing to bet you the arms are gonna be worse. And if they are, I'm gonna be very sad. Alright. So, what do we got to work with here? Nope, that's the weapons page. I need the arms. Let me just knock the Core Gundam over too. Poor guy. I murdered him with my runners. Alright. I'm also going to need to look at the Core Gundam instructions again. Frick, where did I put them? Oh, there they are. There's Core Gundam instructions. There he is. Alright. How do the arms work? Or how do the planet's arms work? Alright. So the planet's arms work using C2 conversion. Okay. So then, what I'm going to need to do is study the arm parts real quick. Just to make sure I know what I'm doing before I actually commit to the action. Alright. So it would be... E7. Okay, so for right now it needs to be E7 and E14. For one arm. Let's see, E7, E14. For one arm. And presumably we do this for the other side, so that we can create another arm. Now some of these pieces, for some of this build, I'm going to have to actually use the actual parts from the Core Gundam itself in order to use them as like the mounting platform, I guess, if that makes any sense. But that is going to have to be how it works for the time being. Alright, so something else I'm noticing right now is that Core Gundam's arm parts are really short. But in order to accommodate all the effects of the... Let's see, in order to accommodate all the effects that are in the Amazing Exia, they're gonna have to be a bit longer, which I'm both a fan of and not a fan of. And that is mostly because what needs to happen now is... Oh, God. So I'm going to have to try and find a conversion just so that I can... Actually, hang on. This may not be as bad as I'm making it out to be. What's one of the arm parts that needs to go inside? C9? Okay, hang on. Hang on. I just had an idea. But I need to check the idea first, just to make sure that it'll actually work. And I'll separate them out again shortly, just to make sure, but... Let's see, what can happen here... Since the Core Gundam's legs are going to be a bit longer than I anticipate them to. The other issue, though, is that these are too small. Like, the entrance in here, it's a bit too small for anything to actually fit. So, what's gonna have to happen... I think, is that I'm gonna have to actually remove a good section of this, which I hate that, but I don't really see another way around. because some of the weapons on the Amazing Exia brace on the forearm. But I'm going to just check it real quick, just to make sure. Because it might just be the GN sword that braces that way. Yeah, it's just the GN sword, and I think I can modify it so that I don't need that brace. The problem is that it will make the wrist a little bit more unsteady. I think it's okay though. If I'm being totally real right now, I think it's okay to do that. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more sculpting. More than I was hoping I would have to be perfectly honest, but what's gonna have to happen is I'm gonna have to hollow out a lot of the inner arm here. And then I'm gonna have to quickly measure. Nope, not that. Let's see. These arm parts here from the Core Gundam. So I can see how they'll actually fit inside these arm parts. And so I can see how much I need to remove in order to make him work. So okay. I was a little worried about this, but yeah. I'm going to have to remove quite a bit. And then, even if I do that, will this still fit? The answer is yes. Tightly, though. Okay, but I could still work with that. So the amount I'm actually going to need to remove is quite a lot, unfortunately. Oh god. This is going to be messy, but I think I can do it. It's just going to be real messy, you know? Okay. Oh god, here's the other problem too. Because I'm going to have to put this arm part on somehow with nothing to brace it down. So I'm going to have to really hollow out the inside of this. And I'm really going to have to fit it correctly. Whoo, jeepers creepers. This build is getting more and more complicated. But you know what? It'll be worth it in the end. Because I really want this to happen. This build is going to be cool. And god dang it, I will make it cool. Alright. So first things first, I need to actually remove this. For the time being. And I just need to literally just start chopping. And chopping this much material off makes me a little uneasy, but I know at the end of the day it'll look good. It just kind of skezzes me out a bit. Especially since a lot of this is just internal structure that needs to be chopped off. Good lord. This is very painful to do for me. Just because I don't know how much I need to actually remove before it'll work. Okay. I have a solid hollowed out inner space now. Now the problem is I need to fit this in here. And the other problem is this is too wide. The Core Gundam's arms are actually a bit too wide for this. How much wider, though, is what I'm wondering. Like, just real quick, I need to check and see how much clearance I would need to get it down there. Oof. Yeah, I was worried about that. There is a solution, though. It's not a solution I'm gonna like, though. But the solution is that I need to cut this all the way down to the wrist. I don't like this. But basically, I need to reduce this down to only like a cuff, basically. And then I need to then keep this as like the wrist component. So all of this section here is going to need to go, including all of the elbow supports that I was hoping to keep. Frick, okay. I was really hoping I was going to be able to avoid that, but it looks like I have no choice, and I have to be super cautious. Because if I screw up, I lose this entire section of part, and I'm going to have to think of something else. So I'm just going to do this in planes and hope that it doesn't break. Okay. Yeah, because putting too much strain on the parts while I'm cutting will probably cause them to break or crack, and I really don't want them. I really don't want that to happen right now. Especially since we're so freaking close. Whew, okay. That was nerve-wracking. I'm not gonna lie, dudes. That was super nerve-wracking, and now I'm gonna have to sand this down a lot. Just to make sure that we're in a half-decent situation when it comes to our wrist component. Okay. Now, I think I took off enough that I can do this right, but not so much that it'll actually ruin the part. So, alright, so far so good. So far so good. Oh my god, I am cutting it real close with this part. Alright. And yeah, I was worried about that too, where yes, it will work, but there's too much material on the wrist. Ah, frick. Okay. Okay, well, this isn't going to be too much of a fix, but okay. Well, first off, get rid of that so I can cut evenly. But also, I need to make sure I don't remove too much. Alright. Now, on borderline risky territory right now with this, but if I can just remove more of these inner supports, I can make room for the wrist. And I think it'll work. think being the operative word here, and I sincerely hope that it does work. Okay, I need to remove more. I'm getting uncomfortable with how much I'm having to strip out of here. Because, Mother of God, I was not expecting this to actually be more complicated. Jesus. Burjeepus. Okay. Okay, I think I've removed enough where it will maybe sit flush. No, I need to remove more. Okay, crap. Yeah, remember how I said that the legs were going to be the most complicated part? And they ended up being the simpler of the two? Now I'm bordering on very dangerously close sculpting. Because otherwise, these arm parts will not work. And I want these arm parts to work, god dang it. Okay. Fit it. Please. Please work. Please work. Oh my god. The answer is sort of. Alright. I need to know which part of it will not work now. Alright. It's almost... Okay, if that actually fell on the floor and I had to catch it, I would have been very upset. But I think literally the only thing that's preventing these parts from joining is that there is just too much material. Oh, frick. Okay. I got myself into quite the project, didn't I? I love that. And actually, there may be another way. And that way is going to involve using some plot plate. Because I'm going to need... Okay, so here's the problem, and here's how we're going to fix it. I need to have enough space that this will actually click into the forearm. However, I presently don't have enough. I presently don't have enough material. So, the next elegant solution to this is that I will use some plot plate. Now, the way I'm going to use this is I'm basically going to use this as one big spacer that I'm going to put between the parts that I need cut, or not cut, but the parts that I need flush, so that they will actually sit flush and give enough clearance so that when I put the parts together, they will actually sit well. So that means I'm going to have to file down the inner part of this arm just a touch. Not a whole lot, just a touch. So that it will actually sit well. And then what I'm going to do, as jank as this is going to look, is I'm actually going to try and... Oh, wait a minute. I think my cam died. Well, frick. Hold up. I think my camera died. What the heck? This is why I needed to do a dedicated camera. Yeah, so I was using my phone as my camera, but wow, this is a bummer. Oh my god, this sucks. Well, my phone cam died. So, I actually can't even finish tonight. Well, shoot, that sucks. Here I was thinking I was going to do like a makeup stream for Missing yesterday. And instead, that happened. Dang, that sucks. Well, shoot, I'm sorry, guys. I honestly don't know what to do now, because the camera died. I'm honestly a little upset by that. What the frick, man? What the frick? That so sucks. Okay, well, I can't actually continue now. I wasn't expecting my phone to die that fast. Dang, oh, I'm actually bummed out now. Holy crap. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, since it's getting kind of close to the 2-hour mark, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to figure out what to do, because I'm not going to lie, I'm a little rattled by that. That sucked. That sucked a lot. And I'm honestly a little upset by that. Oh, dang it. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna take a quick break, and then when I get back, I'll figure out what we can do. I'm really upset now. My goodness. I'm real upset by that now. Jesus. That really got under my skin. Holy crap. Okay, well, let me take a quick break, and then I'll get back to you on what we're gonna do. So, yeah, just give me a sec. black. And I honestly don't know what happened there, but that was dumb. That was really, really dumb. Oh my god. Like, the level of upset that I am right now is like crazy at the moment. Because I honestly was not expecting my camera to just die mid. Man, I'm just gonna be so real with y'all. Like, I have not been having the greatest week, and this week's really been challenging me. So now we're gonna try and figure out what else we can do with our time right now, because I presently don't have a camera that can capture my hands or my desk, so yeah, so I think what we're gonna do now actually is that since I'm gonna be doing a little bit of BattleTech with my coworkers, I guess I could kind of theory craft, like, I guess I could touch myself up on the rules of how it works. And I guess I could, like, I guess we could just chat about that for a little while. Just BattleTech related stuff and see how that goes. Man, I'm really bummed. I'm really bummed, guys. Like, I was looking forward to doing some Gunpla with y'all, and I was really looking forward to, like, making some headway on this kit bash, but then my phone died, and I am not able to do that right now, so that's upsetting in ways that I was not prepared to actually, like, cope with at the moment, I guess. So instead, we're gonna just do some BattleTech. And by BattleTech, I mean I'm gonna be doing some research into BattleTech and trying to relearn how to play the game for a little while, and then I'll be seeing how I can, like, I don't know, how I can just re-up, like, my familiarity with the rules for when I have to teach it to my coworkers. So I'm actually going to look up BattleTech Alpha Strike for Dummies. And yeah, because what I think I'm going to teach them is Alpha Strike. And I think Alpha Strike is going to be the way to go. So, actually, I want to read. Let's see. First, well, the reason why I'm also wanting to do this version instead of the other versions that might be out there is just because, sorry, I'm going to be moving some stuff around real quick so I can actually see my chat while... God, I'm so bummed out. Like, there are no words to describe how, like, tilted I actually am about this. It's just so bad. Okay. Okay, there it is. Alright, let's see. So what I'm seeing right now is that I can actually just purchase the beginner box, which will have unit cards and all that stuff to be able to do that. Okay. I guess that'll be fine. And I guess the other thing is that I would like to play BattleTech. Is that I would like to play classic BattleTech with my coworkers. The unfortunate reality is that I'm not going to be able to. But all right, so yeah, proper BattleTech takes a while. I like that this guy in the article actually even agrees with that. And then let's see, BattleTech Alpha Strike to our readers who are curious about getting into wargaming, mech combat, and obviously BattleTech. It's $80, 13 minis, 40-page rulebook, a 24-page novella, 16-page universe primer, along with cards to support the minis, their pilots, and a series of support cards. Okay, cool. Oh, it actually has cardstock buildings, punch boards of trees and game counters, a map, and 2 dice. Well, that's good to know. Everything in the box is high quality, and maybe it's just me, but these are some of the best BattleTech minis you've seen. Alpha Strike itself is a completely new take on BattleTech as well. In simple terms, it makes everything easier. Movement is now measurement-based. Combat and damage are simplified and tracked on a card. Support units no longer rely on different rule sets and minis, and there's a much bigger focus on big plays versus small actions. On the flip side, you do miss out on some of the crunchiness that BattleTech has. The individuality of a unit, determining what weapon to use, counting ammo, that is lost in Alpha Strike. But for some players, it's not missed. Okay. Combat can be fast-paced, with players trying to get the move on each other. When playing a game of Alpha Strike, setup is pretty simple. 2 players choose one of the 5 objectives on a 4x6 playing field, usually a control or battle objective. Then they chose forces from 250 point values. This can change depending on the force building and skill ratings. Roll initiative, just like in Classic. Higher goes second. Determine the terrain, positions, and then they go fourth in play. Sequences familiar. Initiative, movement, combat, and end phases are all there. If you're new to BattleTech, that means players determine who goes first, who shoots first, and how damage and effects are sorted out. In the included books, there's a lot more detail about the particulars, and the bonuses and negatives are added to your mechs as you play. It's fairly simple. If you're running, you're harder to hit, it's harder to shoot. Yep. So it really does kind of handle very similarly to old-fashioned BattleTech. That's nice, I guess. Alright, let's see. These factor into the Sator modifiers, which stand for skill, attacker, target movement, other, and range modifiers. These stats affect your dice rolls, which in turn determine success or failure in combat. For example, if you attack a mech, the first base target skill, usually 4, is then modified by their movement. Let's say they're jumping, +1. You are slightly obscured by the terrain, +1. The model is 10 inches away, +2. That means you're going to have to beat an 8 on a dice roll. If you roll a 12, congratulations, you just did a crit. Reference the appropriate table and move on. The card-based system of Alpha Strike makes it very easy to play. Players mark off armor bubbles on your mech cards, and if there are no bubbles left, then you do the actual damage. If there's no more damage bubbles, congrats, you've destroyed a mech. In the ending phase, heat is distributed. After all, you are piloting giant mechs, and those will get hot when shooting a variety of weapons. Of course, there's going to be repercussions. I love that this mechanic exists. Okay, he's just editorializing there. So it really is just pared down BattleTech. I was really expecting it to be more complicated than that, but Okay, well, I can get my coworkers into Alpha Strike, and if they like that, then I could probably get them. Then I could probably ask if they want to play like actual BattleTech, which is gonna be like 98 times more complicated. And I'm just saying right now that what I'm probably gonna do is put together my original lance, and then I'll probably factor in and then I'll probably put together lances that match it for them to play. Because I know there's going to be like maybe 4 players, and I thought it would be funny if they could actually do like all versus me for the first few games, just because that seems amusing. So I'm now going to go on to Amazon. And I'm going to look up something real quick. Let's see, BattleTech miniatures. Let me go ahead and misspell miniatures. My goodness. God. Heavy Striker Star. Let's see, there's Wolf's Dragoons for assaults. Recon and Hunter, Inner Sphere, House Davian, Heavy Battle Lance. And then... Okay, hang on. There are some aspects to this I think will be really, really cool. Especially if we can get a good game going, but I'm gonna have to do this over the course of multiple paychecks, because otherwise I'm fairly certain I'm not gonna have enough money to do that. But getting my coworkers into this, I think, is gonna be very interesting. I know exactly what I'm gonna be fielding. I have no idea what they're gonna be fielding, but yeah. Well, I guess that's that for tonight. Like, I really don't have anything else planned, because I was really hoping to do more with my Gunpla tonight. And words cannot describe how, like, actually bummed I am by this. But, yeah. I think I'm actually just going to call it here, though, because I'm both very bummed and combined with, like, my poor mental health all week, I think it's just good to call it now. I will try to stream again tomorrow to sort of make up for the fact that I keep missing days. I'm really sorry about that, by the way, and, yeah, I mean... To those of you who showed up tonight, thank you all so much for watching. I'd say if you like what I did, then you can check me out other places, but given the terrible luck I had tonight, I guess I can't really say that in good faith right now. Yeah, I mean, I hope you all have a good evening. I'm gonna go to bed now, because I'm, like, extremely tilted now. But I'll catch y'all maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe tonight, who knows. And then, I guess once my phone charges up, I can try and do another Gunpla stream again, but... Man, that bummed me out. Okay. I'm